I was just a beta, so I never expected my body to go through a second differentiation right in the middle of a fistfight, basically the ultimate showdown for teenage pride. The moment it hit, I plunged straight into a heat-like state. My head spun, my vision blurred, and my legs felt like jelly. So when I threw my punch, it landed soft, and I ended up collapsing right onto Jackson. Jackson and I had been at odds our entire high school life. Whatever I wanted, he wanted too. And whenever he won, he'd show up just to gloat in my face. I knew he simply couldn't stand me. This whole fight started because I sent my childhood best friend a fresh out of the shower mirror selfie, kind of flirty, and asked him how many points he'd give it. It took him half an hour to reply. Not human, I'll give it 30 minutes. My brain froze for 2 seconds when I saw the contact name. I sent it to the wrong person. As soon as I realized what that message meant, I yelled at my phone like it had personally betrayed me. Jackson, go to hell. He actually dared to rate my photo like that. So I challenged him to fight in this alley. But of course. Lucky me. My body chose this exact moment to differentiate. 2. The minty scent on Jackson was way too clean and refreshing. My punch turned into more of a shove, then into a slap, and finally my whole body leaned toward him on instinct. Jackson stumbled back and ended up pinned against the wall by me. So what, you planning to wrestle me by hugging now? He was half a head taller than me. Right now he lowered his eyes to look at me, still amused. You smell really good, I muttered. Jackson seemed stunned. I thought betas can't smell pheromones. My gland burned hot and sharp, and that minty scent drifting around my nose tugged at every last bit of control I had. Heat swept through me from head to toe. My brain shut off, instinct took over completely. I didn't even hear what he said. Both my hands were roaming over him, and I kept leaning forward to sniff him. When I finally traced that scent to the side of his neck, a warm palm immediately pressed over my face. Jackson frowned slightly, his voice suddenly serious. Samuel, are you going through secondary differentiation? How would I know? All I knew was that I never expected Jackson's pheromones to smell this good, cool and crisp, like walking into an air-conditioned room on a blazing summer day. It felt safe. Comfortable. I used to be a full beta, I couldn't smell anything from Jackson. But now that my body had changed, his scent hit me full force. Osmanthus, huh? Jackson clicked his tongue softly. Stop fighting. I should take you to the hospital first. Jackson just would not shut up. He kept talking and talking about the smallest thing. Annoyed, I grabbed his face with both hands and leaned in. Right as I got close, a thin thread of rationality snapped awake in my mind. What the hell was I thinking? Why would I ever want to do something like this? This guy and I hate each other, do I want to get punched? But reason didn't last even 30 seconds before my best friend's absurd advice flashed through my head. The best way to deal with your nemesis is to kiss him. Just go for it. He won't be able to react fast enough. 1. He'll be embarrassed. 2. He'll be grossed out. 3. He'll never bother you again. I had told him he was insane, hurting myself just to annoy my enemy. But right now, he had a point. If not now, when? Especially after what Jackson implied about my photo. Desire shot up from nowhere, burning through me. Jackson didn't stop me either, the hand on my wrist just tightened a little. Before I could even remember what I meant to do next, everything went white-hot. And I passed out. I woke up in the hospital, and Jackson was taking a report from the doctor. The tests won't be wrong, the doctor said. It's rare, but he did go through a second differentiation, he's an Omega now. Who? Who were they talking about? My head was still foggy from sleep, and nothing made sense. First, why was I in a hospital? Second, why the hell was Jackson here? Third, who became an Omega? The doctor's eyes shifted toward me. He hit heat early because of the second differentiation. It may last a few days. Keep an eye on it. Who? I stared back at him, stunned. Jackson walked over with that annoying half-smirk and ruffled my hair. Don't pet me like a dog. I slapped his hand away. He didn't get mad, just handed me the report. I looked down. Great. Second differentiation, omega. The next second, I fell straight back onto the bed. The doctor kept explaining a few things, but I barely heard a word. My whole brain was stuck on the fact that I, an ordinary beta, had suddenly become an omega that anyone could claim. Tragic. Then I caught Jackson smiling. I shot up immediately. You've had your fun. Why are you still here? Jackson's expression shifted, lips curling slightly. Because we haven't settled what happened last night. Right. That. Rage flared again. I jabbed a finger at him. You actually dared to do that while looking at my photo. I couldn't say the rest in front of the doctor. I still had some dignity. Jackson pushed my hand down, rubbing his own nose as he smirked. Relax. I was messing with you. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. He didn't even try to hide it. Was that human language? Before I could curse him out again, Jackson suddenly said, Then what about you kissing me out of nowhere last night? How should we settle that? Hell, that wasn't even my fault. I immediately looked at the doctor. The doctor cleared his throat, clearly unfazed. Don't stress. Entering heat during differentiation can cause impulsive reactions. That was my first kiss, you know, Jackson sighed dramatically. As if I weren't in the same boat. I stared at him wide-eyed, then gave up entirely. Fine. We're even. I won't hold the photo thing against you then. Jackson's eyes dimmed a little, but he didn't argue. 1 minute later, I reluctantly accepted reality. I turned to Jackson. Can you leave first? The whole room smells like your mint scent. Jackson paused, then glanced at the doctor. What? I asked. His suppression band is on max level, the doctor said. He shouldn't have any scent right now. Oh. Was my nose broken after the second differentiation? The doctor thought for a moment. It might be because you encountered him right during differentiation. The compatibility might be unusually high, making you extremely sensitive to his scent. Jackson looked at me once, then left at the doctor's suggestion. The moment he stepped out, the scent faded a little. My eyebrows twitched without me meaning to. What's wrong? The doctor asked. I touched the back of my neck lightly. Nothing. The doctor kept explaining the next precautions. You need to rest the next few days. Your heat hasn't passed yet, and you should always have suppressants with you. Only then did I suddenly look up. How much do suppressants cost? Your friend already paid. My fist tightened instinctively. Suppressants, great. Another monthly expense. About the suppressants, I hesitated. Jackson came from money. Whatever he bought was definitely the expensive, effective kind. I couldn't afford that. After a moment of silent agony, I whispered, Can you switch everything to the cheaper ones? The doctor blinked. The cheaper type isn't as effective. And the side effects are worse. I got out of bed. Please switch it all. Thank you. The doctor was nice and swapped everything out, even refunding the extra money. I carried a bag full of biological management supplies back toward my rented place. All I could think about was how I had to pay Jackson back and find another part-time job. Otherwise I wouldn't even afford these monthly expenses. Just as I reached the building, the stray dog I always fed sprinted toward me. Buddy. I squatted down and petted his head. But he grabbed my pant leg and pulled urgently toward the stairs. A bad feeling hit my gut. I ran upstairs. My door had been forced open. The room was a wreck. I rushed to my bed, reached under the mattress, empty. Woof! Woof! The dog barked downstairs. A fire raged through my chest. I tore out of the building and ran home. The dog bolted after me. I kicked the door hard. Open up. No answer. I kicked it again. Expected. I let out a cold laugh, walked to the storage shed, and grabbed the rusty cleaver used for chopping bones. I slammed it into the door. Don't make me say it a third time. Open up. A drunk woman opened it, the alcohol smell so strong I turned my head and shoved past her. Where's Matthew? She leaned in the doorway to watch the drama. Matthew. Your son's here. Matthew saw me and started shaking instantly. Give it back, I said, walking toward him calmly. What? Don't play dumb. My savings passbook. There were $3,500 in it. He couldn't even look at me. I don't know. I'm still talking nicely right now, I said, taking a slow breath. Give it back, and I'll let it go. I saved that $3,500 after months of part-time jobs, between school, between everything, just to get away from this place. I just needed to survive a few more months until exams were over. But of course, Matthew used it to pay off another debt. He suddenly dropped to his knees, crying and sniffling. It's gone. I used it all to pay them. Blood pounded in my ears. Anger exploded through me. I lunged and punched him in the face. Matthew shielded his face, shaking. Samuel, you can't do this. You want me to let you live? With what? You going to pay me back with that mouth of yours? I'm your father. You stopped being that a long time ago. I punched him again, harder. When you almost drowned me at 3. When you whipped me growing up. We stopped being father and son a long time before today. Matthew trembled violently, then suddenly shoved me away in panic, grabbing a stool to shield himself. Samuel, have mercy. I was desperate. They would have killed me if I didn't pay. Then don't gamble. I roared. I didn't, I just. Why do I have to pay your debts with the money I earned to study? Because I'm your father. Matthew shouted back. I didn't have a choice, they were going to kill me. Then let them kill me. I shouted, slamming the cleaver into the wooden table. The blade vibrated, wedged deep into the crack. Silence swallowed the room. I walked out and pointed at him. There better not be a next time. Next time, I won't miss your hand. I cleaned up the room again, but when I looked at the broken door lock, I didn't even feel like fixing it anymore. It's not like I had anything left worth stealing. The only valuable thing I owned, those $3,000, Matthew had already taken. I lay on the bed like a deflated balloon for half the day before checking the bag of healthcare supplies again. One look at the receipt made me sigh all over again. The next day during PE class I felt incredibly dizzy. Fall had been here for weeks, but somehow the last 2 days felt hot and stuffy. When we had free time, I went to sit alone on the steps. David tossed a bottle of water at me and sat down right next to me. I heard you and Jackson were throwing punches in that alley again. You didn't even tell me how the fight went. Just hearing about it gave me a headache. Can you shut up for a second? David was an alpha, and right now he smelled faintly of rum. I frowned. Did you drink? Do you have a fever? David stared at me and shook the bottle. It's water. Literally plain water. Then where's that? I stopped mid-sentence. I suddenly remembered my second differentiation, no one knew about it yet. No wonder I felt hot and restless. The doctor had said the heat phase would last 3 to 5 days and I needed to take it easy. David stared at me. What? Nothing. I shook my head, even as the discomfort started creeping back in. Are you feeling sick? Why's your face so red? The scent coming off him made my head spin even more. I'm fine. Just tired. Before David could say anything else, someone called him over to play basketball. He got up and tossed his jacket onto my head. I had barely touched it when someone lifted it away. A faint mint scent drifted over, clean and cool, and I instinctively leaned toward it. It felt so good, instantly easing the dizziness and calming the agitation under my skin. A pair of clean sneakers appeared in front of me, attached to long legs in uniform pants. I looked up and met his eyes. Jackson stared down at me. "Why aren't you at home resting?" I frowned lightly. "None of your business." But even while I snapped at him, my body kept wanting to lean closer to him for no reason. Jackson didn't argue for once. "The doctor said your heat phase isn't over yet, you should." I immediately grabbed his hand and gestured for him to be quiet. Seeing that no one was paying attention to us, I finally let out a breath. This audio is originally produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. Please credit when sharing. Remembering the whole differentiation mess, I glanced at Jackson again. I hadn't even had time yesterday to tell him not to spread it around, but then again, he wasn't the type to gossip anyway. "What's wrong?" Jackson asked. "Nothing." I stood up so we were eye level. "Samuel." I didn't know what game he was playing this time. I ignored him and turned to walk away. When I brushed past him, he spoke again, letting out a small laugh. "Beg me." My fist tightened at my side. I shrugged like I didn't care. Whatever. I knew exactly the kind of person Jackson was. "I'll pay back the medical bill in a couple of days." Then I walked off, completely missing the dark, unreadable look he aimed at my back. 7. This was not the time to rest. My living expenses for the next few months were money, Jackson's medical bill was money, and the monthly inhibitors were also money. So I picked up a part-time evening shift at a new restaurant. If I worked every day, I could at least make a little over $1,000 a month. I didn't expect to run into Jackson again. Then again, maybe I should've. Kids from wealthy families always had money to burn, they'd be the first to know when a new place opened. Our eyes met, then instantly moved away. Neither of us said hello. I avoided him because I felt inferior, he looked away because, to him, I probably just wasn't worth a second glance. I was supposed to serve his private room, but the manager suddenly reassigned me. "You just handle the downstairs area." I gave him a surprised look. The manager explained, "The young master in that room, your classmate, said you didn't need to serve them." I let out a small laugh and went downstairs. Jackson was being irritatingly considerate, preserving my pride. But someone like me, stubborn to the bone, found that kind of kindness even more uncomfortable. My heat phase was unstable enough after the differentiation, and the cheap inhibitor only made things worse. Halfway through my shift, the discomfort started creeping back. I told a coworker I had a stomachache, grabbed the inhibitor, and slipped into the restroom. Just as I was about to inject it, a long-fingered hand grabbed my wrist. I turned, shocked. Jackson stood there, brows furrowed. "Didn't I buy you the good inhibitors?" I ignored him and injected it before he could stop me. The pain drowned out the discomfort for a moment, and I let out a long breath. "Samuel." Jackson's voice dropped, tinged with frustration. "Can you treat yourself better?" I pushed his hand away with a dry little laugh. "I'm broke." Jackson lowered his gaze, his eyes darkening. "What's with that look?" I gave a bitter smile. "You pitying me?" I need to get back to work." I moved past him. Jackson suddenly grabbed my hand again. "You can't keep working like this. Cheap inhibitors have heavy side effects. And if you're hiding in here to take it, that means you didn't tell your manager what's going on with your body." I snapped my head toward him. "What, is that a threat? Trying to make me beg again? Messing with someone like me isn't even fun. I'm already pathetic around you." When he didn't reply, I let out a humorless laugh. "Stop it. I have to work. Every minute is money." Unlike you rich kids who are born holding a silver spoon. Please. His grip on my wrist tightened, his Adam's apple bobbing. His voice was low, almost rough. I'm asking you. Please. Before I could even process what he meant, he slipped something warm onto my wrist, a soft wristband that still held his body heat. I know going home to rest isn't realistic, and buying new inhibitors right now would take too long. This suppressant band works a lot better. He fastened it gently, then let go. I froze. You. Go on. Jackson instantly switched back to his usual lazy demeanor, even messing up my hair on purpose. TCH. I shook my head, annoyed. Your hair's a mess. Like a puppy. Jackson laughed and walked out the door. He didn't get far before he suddenly turned back. If you think this counts as messing with you, then there's plenty more where that came from. I stared at his tall figure for a long moment before finally looking down at the wristband. My stagnant heart rippled faintly at his smile and those words. I stood there dazed for a long time before returning to work. Because of the wristband Jackson gave me, I managed to get through my heat period without completely falling apart. When I later tried to return the medical fees and the wristband together, he refused with a cold expression. The money was earned fair and square. It's clean. And if you're uncomfortable wearing something I've used, I can compensate you later with a new one. It'll just take me a while. Jackson lifted his gaze just enough to look at me, his lips pressed tight. Forget it. It's just a wristband. Right. A little thing like that meant nothing to someone like him. I thought everything between us would end there, but I didn't expect to develop a mild allergic rejection toward other alpha's pheromones. Everyone's except Jackson's. His was the only scent that didn't make my skin crawl, the only one I instinctively wanted to lean toward. I was helpless. That cool minty scent of his was simply too comforting. So I went to the hospital to get checked. The doctor told me it might be pheromone regulation disorder. How do I treat it? I asked immediately. Desensitization. You need long-term physical proximity with the alpha who can calm you down. Touching or hugging works. A temporary mark would work even better. No. Absolutely not. Jackson was my sworn nemesis. And with the way he talks, if he ever learned I reacted to his pheromones, he'd tease me to death. So I kept relying on antihistamines and cheap suppressants to get by. The suppressants were awful but cheap. I didn't dare tell anyone about my secondary differentiation, but in the end, someone still found out. No, more accurately, someone sold me out. Matthew ransacked my place again and found my differentiation report and the suppressants. Then he used me to pay off his debts, almost getting me trafficked to the black market. You out of your mind? I snapped at him. Trading an Omega is illegal. Matthew trembled by the table, not daring to look at me. A few men stood beside him, big, solid guys I could never win against. The moment I realized the situation wasn't right, I tried to slip away, but someone slammed the door shut behind me, cutting off my escape. I immediately backed up, putting distance between us. You two signed the debt papers fair and square, the one sitting in the lead said. If you don't want to come with us, then pay what your old man owes. I let out a quiet laugh. Do I look like I could afford that? Then there's nothing left to talk about, he said, smiling. Even black markets have proper buyers. One of his men stepped forward. I instinctively stepped back. Downstairs, the neighborhood mutt barked anxiously. Someone passing by threw a brick at it to shut it up, and it whimpered in pain. I glanced toward the window, frowning tightly. The dog immediately bolted out of the alley. Forget the dog, the man in charge said. You're coming with us. His lackey reached out to grab me. I grabbed whatever was on the table, random junk, and hurled it at him. I couldn't fight. I couldn't outrun them. In the struggle, Matthew slammed a metal kettle into the back of my head. My skull buzzed violently. Before I could think, I yanked Matthew toward them as a shield, gritted my teeth, and vaulted right out the window from the third floor. There was a little awning from the breakfast stall below. It softened the landing enough that I didn't break anything, but the impact still numbed my legs, and I twisted one ankle badly, collapsing to the ground. Someone cursed by the window, and I immediately heard the men rushing out of the room. After him. Enduring the pain, I scrambled up and ran. The second I stood, dizziness nearly dropped me again. I limped down the street, breathless, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. Out of nowhere, the neighborhood dog darted out and led me down a side path. Why is it always me? A tight ache coiled around my heart, and I let out a bitter, humorless smile. When I tripped over a loose brick, pain shot up my leg. I screwed my eyes shut, the sound of footsteps closing in behind me. Maybe this was it. I fought for 18 years, clawed through every kind of misery, and in the end, my fate still wasn't mine to choose. Just as I was about to collapse, a strong, firm hand wrapped around me, and the familiar, comforting scent of mint hit my nose. Samuel. I grabbed the arm holding me, my mind reacting for only a moment before I blacked out, not even fully registering who was there. I woke up in a hospital. The minty pheromone was faint now, replaced by the sharp scent of antiseptic. Voices came from the doorway. Mild concussion, nothing too serious. Don't worry too much. Any other injuries? He jumped from the third floor, does he have anything else? Ankle sprain, a few minor scrapes. No fractures. He'll be fine. Of course, it was Jackson's voice again. Why did he always show up whenever I was at my worst? I stared at the ceiling, blinking slowly, a sour, inexplicable ache rising in my chest. My mind wandered, and I stopped listening to their conversation. The door opened quietly, and Jackson stepped in. Our eyes met. He immediately came closer, gripping my hand. You're awake. Does anything hurt? I can call the doctor, he asked, his voice betraying a slight tremor. I smiled faintly. Why are you panicking? Now that I've gone down, nobody's fighting you for first place. Isn't that better? Jackson frowned. I don't care about first place. What do you care about, then? I asked. I care about you, Jackson's words trailed off. I looked at him. Nothing. Are you feeling okay? I asked softly. I'll survive, I sighed. How did you even end up there? Ran into your mutt, Jackson said. It's not mine, I corrected. It has no home, just like me. Jackson tightened his grip on my hand, murmuring, I'll give it to you. What? I didn't catch it. His eyes fell. Nothing. Hey, I said, staring at him, let go. You're hurting me. Instantly, he released my hand. Sorry. Lying in the hospital wasn't an option, I still had Matthew's debt unsettled, and I didn't know where those men were hiding. I didn't even know if I could walk out. You're listening to Omegaverse Tales Studio, a YouTube channel dedicated to captivating short stories. Let's continue. I looked at Jackson again. He, like the worm in my stomach, spoke immediately, they won't come after you anymore. Didn't they have to come until the money was repaid? But Jackson's words were always reliable. If he said it, it was as good as done. You helped me again. I laughed. How can I ever repay you for such a huge favor? Then just don't. Keep it as a debt, he said softly, his voice deep. Jackson's strong, well-defined features were usually overshadowed by his casual, teasing attitude that made me overlook his face. Now, standing here and looking directly at him, I realized just how striking he was, sharp, clear features, eyes deep and calm. I stared, slightly dazed, and smiled bitterly. Fine. Let it stay owed, for now. I couldn't repay it anyway. If push comes to shove, consider me sold to you, I joked. But I'm useless, spending big money on me is a waste. Jackson opened his mouth but didn't reply. The lazy, confident expression he always wore shifted suddenly. His jaw tightened, thin lips pressed together. Serious. Cold. Our eyes met, and my heart raced. Jackson stared like he could see straight through me. I quickly looked away. Samuel. Suddenly, he leaned closer, his breath brushing my face. My throat tightened, my palms under the blanket sweated. Can't you think highly of yourself? I blinked, flustered. Words stuck in my throat. To think highly of myself meant comparison, and compared to him, I felt utterly unworthy. Being so close made the air charged, suffused with unspoken intimacy. Under his gaze, tender and yet powerful, I felt completely exposed. His hand traced the back of my neck. A shiver ran down my spine to my limbs. Minty pheromones teased me under my nose. I bit my lip, gripping the blanket to stay grounded. Finally, as he leaned in to kiss me, I turned my head at the last moment. His lips landed only on the corner of my mouth. Jackson froze for a moment, a hint of disappointment in his eyes, then immediately stepped back. Sorry. I'm tired, I stammered, grasping for an excuse. He murmured softly. Sleep. Only after he left the room did my frantic heartbeat start to settle. My chest ached, emotions tangled. Self-worth, 0. Samuel, you coward. For the next 2 days, I tried to check out, but Jackson pressed me back onto the bed. I ended up stuck in the hospital for another week. Though he had paid the bill, I didn't have the face to overstay. This debt. I would have to repay it eventually. While Jackson had other matters and wasn't there to watch me, I finally discharged myself. Returning home, I found the place utterly trashed. I went after Matthew, only to hear from a neighbor that he had been arrested for trafficking omegas. Frustration had no outlet, tears wouldn't come. I sank to the floor, letting out a bitter laugh. Why does it always happen to me? Why does it always happen to me? On my way back, I got cornered in an alley. A group of alphas pressed down on me with overpowering rusty pheromones, bringing me to my knees, hands restrained behind me. Why does it always happen to me? One disaster after another kept coming. I recognized the alphas, they were real trouble, always ready to fight. They were the local vocational school thugs, and I had crossed them before overprotection fees. I had fought back then, none had stood afterward, and the grudge stuck. Isaac lifted my chin with a belt. Hey, isn't this Samuel? You were just a beta before. Couldn't handle much. But you, actually secondarily differentiated into an omega? Ugh, I spat at his hand. Idiot. Don't use your pheromones. Isaac didn't argue. He beckoned to his men. They handed him a bottle of water. Isaac grabbed my chin and shoved it into my mouth, pouring the entire bottle down. It spilled everywhere. I coughed violently, eyes red. What did you make me drink? Isaac grinned coldly. Something good. You'll be crying and begging soon enough. Within minutes, the pheromones coursing through me reacted violently. A sweet osmanthus scent spread through the alley. Wow, smells amazing, Isaac said, inhaling deeply, yanking my hair painfully. I could endure that, but my body's reaction, and Isaac's leering smile, made me nauseous. Honestly, you were tolerable before as a beta, boring, but now as an omega, how about serving me? Make me feel good, and I might let you live tonight. I was already weak from the pheromones. After being forced to ingest the water, I was almost powerless. My hands were restrained, and I bit my lip, forcing myself to stay conscious. Get lost! I yelled, head-butting him. Isaac staggered back and lashed out with the belt. But just as the strikes came, I heard a familiar, commanding voice cutting through the chaos. Tonight, I take care of you. A low, cold tone, with fists hitting flesh, pierced my ears. I opened my eyes in shock. Behind the figure delivering the blows, was Jackson. The same Jackson who always argued with me yet saved me countless times. The man restraining me immediately released his grip to join the fight ahead. I scrambled to my feet, wincing in pain, and without a second thought, turned and ran. Jackson, somehow noticing my movement in the middle of a 5-on-1 brawl, furrowed his brow and shouted, "Samuel." I froze mid-step, not daring to stop. I knew how strong Jackson was. If he wanted to fight, I had no chance, so I kept moving. My current aroused state made me look ridiculous, and I couldn't afford to be seen like this. I moved as fast as I could, cutting through alleys and avoiding anyone I might run into, heading straight for my rented apartment. The first thing I did inside was inject more of the suppressant. Pain radiated through me. Being beaten hurt, my glands thrummed in arousal hurt, and knowing Jackson had seen me like that hurt. Jackson's bracelet had long been removed and stored safely in a metal box. I wasn't even willing to use it again. The cheap suppressants barely worked. I jabbed myself 3 times in rapid succession. As I prepared for the fourth, the door suddenly burst open. I turned in shock. Jackson yelled, "Samuel." Our eyes met, and I quickly looked away. "Are you okay?" Jackson crouched, trying to reach me, but I slapped his hand away. "Go away." His hand froze midair. Seeing me like a desperate, aroused Omega must look ridiculous, huh? I scoffed, silent tears sliding down my cheeks. Jackson didn't speak or move. My pride couldn't take the standoff any longer. "Please," I choked, my voice breaking. Jackson's pheromones smelled too good. The closer he came, the stronger my urge to collapse into him. He didn't leave. Instead, he closed the door and wrapped me in a hug from behind. "Samuel." I shivered, my body trembling. The tighter he held me, the more my mind unraveled. Then, his teeth grazed the glands at the back of my neck lightly, and he murmured in a low voice, "I'm sorry. I can't bear to see you suffer. Blame me if you want." At that moment, his minty pheromones flowed through me, mixing with my own sensations, dulling the pain and calming the heat of arousal. Jackson removed the bracelet from his wrist, filling the room with mint, intertwined with my osmanthus scent. I woke to the faint light of 6 in the morning. I didn't dare move. The hand on my waist radiated warmth through the fabric, and his steady breathing eased me. It took only a few seconds for my mind to replay everything from last night. I cried again. I tilted my head slightly toward the pillow as more tears slid down. The hand on my waist slid upward, cupping my chin, long fingers brushed across my cheek. "No crying," I said, pressing his hand away. Jackson's thumb wiped my tears, and the other hand wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer. He touched my neck glands gently with his mouth. His low voice murmured, "I marked you last night." "I'm sorry." "I know," I replied. "It hurt, didn't it?" He released a wave of minty pheromones, licking the gland lightly. "Thank you," I whispered. "Samuel." He flipped me over to face him, eyes locking with mine. "Can you not push me away?" I hesitated, then slowly said, "We're not the same kind of people." Jackson fell silent, his expression dark. Anyone would feel a sting being rejected in such an intimate moment. Even a rich, spoiled guy like him would probably throw a tantrum, but he didn't. Then I heard his laugh. "It's fine. I'll try harder." I froze. "Try harder to walk the same path as you. Before, competing with you seemed like defiance, but it was just to get your attention. Now you've noticed me. Next, I'll figure out another way." His lips curved faintly, a teasing tone masking the melancholy in his eyes. He looked like a small, lost dog. My heart softened, bitterness creeping in. "Jackson, you don't have to," I struggled to find words. "Loving you is my business. Don't take it too seriously. If you don't like me now, that just means I haven't tried hard enough. Samuel, keep running. I'll catch up to you." Before leaving, he called back, "The doctor said you have pheromone imbalance syndrome." Try not to rely so much on those suppressants, they're not great for you. I knew he meant the cheap suppressants I had been using. Got it, I murmured, head bowed. No use knowing. Only me can help, Jackson said. I looked up at him, meeting his eyes, and replied again, got it. Without Matthew and the dead hunters, life slowly returned to normal. I worked part-time until the end of the year, saving enough to make it through exams. I stopped buying suppressants. Jackson had sent plenty to my apartment. The suppressing bracelet was forcibly strapped onto my wrist by him. He threatened that if I didn't wear it, he would publicly kiss me at school. I immediately complied. I no longer had to skimp on meals. Breakfast was delivered, lunch had company, and dinner was cooked for me. David, my childhood friend, squinted suspiciously. Since when did you two get so close? I slapped his hand away to keep my distance. What's that pheromone smell on your hand? He insisted. I rolled my eyes. Ignore it. Does he have a hold over you or something? David prattled on. You're a beta, right? But now it's like he marked you. All over you. I finally sighed and admitted, yeah. Omega. Marked. It's his pheromones. David froze, then howled toward the ceiling in shock. David! What are you doing? Sit down before the teacher sees you. I smirked at his expression, the one that said, never hide anything from your bro. I never asked Jackson to come calm me with his pheromones, but he visited every day. Eventually, it got worse. He even spent nights at my apartment, claiming it was for studying together. No. Studying with someone using pheromones to tease and hold your chin? Absolutely not. He eventually rephrased it as treatment for my pheromone imbalance syndrome. Osmanthus, smells so good, it's killing me, Jackson murmured, lips grazing the back of my neck. Not human, I squirmed against him. Don't provoke me, he warned. Right. Who was provoking whom? His mint scent teased every nerve, mingling with the sweet osmanthus. Pleasure and tingling ran through my body, and I instinctively straddled him, climbing onto his shoulders, pressing for a kiss. Jackson, don't be too good to me, I murmured, drowsy on his shoulder. You're too clueless. Can't do good for yourself, so I have to. Jackson held me tighter. Only for you. The withdrawal from this gentleness will be painful, I muttered. He was silent for a long moment, then chuckled bitterly. Trust me, Samuel. Jackson can be a good man too. Exams took place as scheduled in June. Jackson and I weren't in the same exam hall. Right before entering, he suddenly pulled me aside to a quiet corner. What's this for? I asked cautiously, scanning for anyone nearby. Encouragement, Jackson said. No need. I punched his chest lightly. Prepare to lose. He raised an eyebrow, teasing. So confident you'll get first place? First place? No. Beating you? Pretty sure I've got it. I patted my chest. Jackson, in an unusually good mood, smiled knowingly. Beating me, huh? I sighed, exasperated. Can you not? Nope. Before I could react, he planted a quick kiss on my lips. My eyes went wide. Relax. No one saw, Jackson laughed. Damn it. I turned back to join the line for the exam, but he called after me. Samuel. I spun around. Yeah. His expression suddenly serious. After the exam, can you promise me something? No, I replied firmly. Seeing his brows droop, I added, you've got to beat me first before making demands. Watching his expression shift back and forth gave me quiet satisfaction. I deliberately let off a faint trace of pheromones, brushing my lips near his as I whispered, good luck, little brother. Samuel. I grinned, taking a few steps back and waving. See you later. When exams ended, I returned to work to earn tuition, this time full-time. I calculated the year-end bonus for top grades and potential student loans for university. Money worries suddenly felt lighter. On the day results were released, I took a day off and strolled by the river with the stray dog, De Huang. De Huang, I called. Woof woof, he barked, circling my legs. I patted his tail. If I beat Jackson this time, I'll agree to him. Deal? Lost 99 times, 198, tie, I muttered, sitting by the river and checking my phone. The screen rotated, and I immediately showed it to De Huang. He huffed, tongue out, then barked twice. I took a deep breath. This time, definitely. 99 wins. Seeing my score made me leap with joy. I turned to find Jackson behind me, backlit by the sun, smiling. I froze, eyes wide. What are you doing here? How did you know I was here? Jackson tilted his head, still smiling. You're standing in my world, I'd know. TCH. That bastard had just won another round with his words. Confident, huh? Jackson said. Of course. I've surpassed my usual by 30 points. I lifted my chin. Coincidentally, Jackson held up his phone too. Stop looking. You can't beat me. My last digit's a 9. Sure enough, he put his phone down, muttering, no chance. This story is exclusively produced by the YouTube channel, Omegaverse Tales Studio. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. I walked over, shaking my phone. Going to Beijing or not? His eyes lit up. If you go, I'll go too. The river flowed past, summer wind brushing through foxtail grass. De Huang settled by the river with us, then went wild, pouncing on both of us. We tumbled together, landing on the grass. Jackson laughed for no reason. What's so funny? De Huang stepped on a funny spot. Just happy, Jackson said. I stayed quiet for a moment. Sorry for making you wait. Jackson tilted his head toward me. Waiting doesn't count if you made it. Our eyes met as the little dog darted around us, tail wagging. I propped myself up. What now? Jackson asked. I want to kiss you, I said. Oh? Even a stubborn little dog can come to its senses, Jackson teased, lips curling. I cupped his face with both hands. Jackson, why are you so good to me? I like you, he whispered. Sorry, for being stubborn, awkward, sensitive, insecure, wasting your affection, treating your love like pity or a game. It's fine. Jackson pinched my earlobe gently. None of that matters. What matters is I like you, and now, you like me too, right? I nodded firmly. Jackson, I like you, I said. The kiss was easily returned. I felt like I was floating in a sea of clouds. Warm palms rested at the back of my head, lightly brushing my glands. Mint from him, osmanthus from me, mingled as the breeze carried the scents away. The kiss was pure, lingering, and tender. De Huang was even happier than us, spinning circles, tongues out, racing around joyfully. After pulling back slightly, I met Jackson's gentle gaze. Jackson, even if I promised late, my love for you is no less than yours. Thank you for accepting a stubborn me. Jackson ruffled my hair gently. I know. The little dog doesn't say love, the little dog just wags its tail.